All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August 23rd, 2022 Architectural Review Board, the town of Brighton. Board, the first item on the agenda would be the approval of the July 26 minutes. Has everybody reviewed those minutes and anybody prepared to propose that they be approved?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, Jason, I think that you can say that we have approved the minutes for the July 26th meeting. And the first item on our agenda is old business. It's 7AR-4-22, 30 Jefferson Road. Is there an applicant in the waiting room, Jason?
I'm representing the owner, Steve Kruger.
Hi, Steve. How are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
And if you would, if you could just go through what revisions you made or the updated information that you're providing the board this evening. Thank you.
At our previous meeting, there was a question on the termination at the base of the metal infill panel. So I've provided some details from Morin as to how we would terminate all of the perimeters of the infill. So it's a standard wall assembly we'd be using to infill the current openings, and a furring strip and trim closures specific to the Morin details for that base closure. I think the concern was we were showing that stopping short of the bottom of the CMU block. So we've updated the details to show that terminating at grade. And those details for the sidewall and head trims are provided in the Morin details that are attached to the rest of this document. There was also a comment on finalizing the color selection, so I've also provided that as well.
So the dark bronze is the color for the proposed panels.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'd like to open it up to the board for any questions. Mary, do you have any questions or comments on the revised information?
No, thanks, Andy.
Chris? Chris, are you with us?
I was having trouble unmuting. You would think I'd be better at that by now. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Casey?
Yeah, in our minutes, we had a question about, I believe it was the gable vents. Is that going to be addressed?
Sorry, I must have missed that.
Let's see. Document that existing gable vents can be removed or covered as proposed without negative impacts to the building. Because we had seen that the photos had vents where the exterior elevations were showing metal panel infill.
Oh, correct. Yeah, we're proposing insulation above roof, so we don't have a ceiling with insulation that would need to be vented anymore.
Okay, so those will just get covered up with the metal panel.
Correct.
Alrighty. And then I think that was it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Fran, do you have any questions or comments on this?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yeah, and I believe I am all set as well. Thank you very much for clarifying and providing the additional information, Stephen. You can call Jason's office in the morning to hear what our decision was, or you may stay online if you'd like.
All right. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on into new business, the first is 8AR-1, which is 334 Avalon Drive. Do we have an applicant prepared to discuss this application, Jason?
Yes, this is Patricia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. I've got a new phone. The project is, I presume you have the drawings in front of you.
We do have the drawings. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It protrudes about 15 inches outside of the living room exterior wall. And it's about halfway back.
Excuse me, Patricia, this is Jason.
From
I
that-
just want to clarify that Patricia's speaking about the fireplace component of the project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jason. And it's just a very simple structure that it's about 6 feet wide. Like I said, it's 15 inches out from the wall. It just has a little shed roof on it, and it matches the siding and the roofing overhang, that kind of thing. So I didn't know if you had any questions.
Well, if I could just ask a couple questions, zero in on this just a little bit more first.
Okay.
So this protrusion that you were talking about, this fire pit protrusion, what side of the doorway is it being installed? If that is where it's going. I guess I don't know where it's going. That's the
Oh,
first clarification.
You can see that picture there, photograph that I'm seeing anyway on the screen.
Yes.
It's about halfway. It's in the center of that end part of the building, and it's through a new opening in the wall.
Okay. So you're going to put an opening in the wall, and then you're going to have this piece that sticks out, which is very typical of a gas fire. Is this a gas fire pit?
Yes,
Fireplace.
Fireplace. Yes.
yes.
Okay. And then just for, I'll let the board also ask their questions here, but just as clarification as well, and you're changing out the windows in the front of the home.
Yeah, that would be somebody else that would be presenting for that. I'm just on the fireplace.
Yeah, I'd be happy to explain that part of the project. I'm Ralph Hefner, one of the owners.
I'd appreciate wrapping up the fireplace though, because I actually am in another meeting. If you wouldn't mind.
Oh, okay, well, I think we'd like to hear everything that's going on here before we start asking all the questions about any of the proposals for this evening. So if we'd hear a little bit about the windows, and then we can jump right back into the fire.
No, that's okay. I'm very interested in hearing what's going to be going on with the windows, so I'll hang in there. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to be brief. Jason, if you could go to the first slide. So Anya Buscher and I, my partner, we bought this house earlier this year for us and our 2 kids. And we bought it because we like the style. It was designed by architect Martin Rose and built in '69, and are trying to modify it with 2 projects. One is the gas fireplace bump out, and the other one is replacing and enlarging several of the windows to let in more natural light. Jason, if you go to the next slide, you see the existing view from the front. And in our enlargement, we're trying to match the existing look and size of the windows as much as possible, in particular the horizontal width. But we are adding windows and we are enlarging the windows vertically to match the height of the existing windows on the ground floor. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see the proposed change to the look. If you toggle back and forth, you can maybe more easily see what exactly changes. That's the old, that's the new. If you go one more slide, you see the front view of the plans where in red we drew in the proposed changes.
Okay, and it appears just based upon the window placements, they're to remain in generally the same locations. And are the upper windows and are all the windows to match the existing window that is on the lower left of the entryway? Is that the intent?
So yes, I mean the windows, we're always trying to match the windows below them. So if you have a look, if you go to the next slide, Jason. So I'm not sure I understand your question correctly, but these, windows,
It appears that you were matching the size of the upper windows to the size of the lower windows. In
yes,
essence.
yes.
Okay. That was my only question. So let me open it up to the remainder of the board here and see if there's any other questions regarding both the fireplace and the windows. So can we start with Mary? Mary, do you have any questions?
Well, about the windows, no, except, I assume the trim and the glass are all going to be the same, of the same type as the original, and I think it's an improvement. As far as the fireplace is concerned, I wasn't sure if we heard what the materials are going to be because of the particular siding on this house. I don't know how you're going to match that with the exterior of the fireplace and the roof.
Yeah, so it'll be matched. It'll have the same siding, same color, and style as the rest of the house.
Is this wood siding here?
Yes.
And you're not having wood siding on your fireplace, though?
Of the bump out, you mean?
The exterior of the fireplace is not going to be clad in wood siding, is it?
My understanding was that the bump out was going to be the same kind of wood as the rest of the house.
Okay.
Patricia?
Did she leave?
Yeah, yes, was the intention.
It's the intention, or it's a plan? I'm
Yeah,
just wondering.
yes.
Okay, because usually these are sided with vinyl, and I just was.
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you. That's
No.
all I have, Andy. Thank you.
Okay, great. Chris, do you have any questions on either the windows or the bump out?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Casey?
Yeah, on the fireplace, what's the material is just on the bottom is just going to be exposed plywood? Is that how I'm reading it? Or is there something else that clads that or wraps it?
I believe it would be covered with some kind of hard surface, weatherproof. And I honestly
There's
would
a
have
note
to
that
look.
says vinyl soffit, so I took that to mean there would be a vinyl
Yeah.
soffit material covering up the insulation and the plywood.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's exactly vinyl, but something like that, at least.
Oh, the foam board?
No, it's not. No foam board. No foam board. No.
It says 1 inch high R foam board. And then it says vinyl soffit. So I guess I thought the foam board was on the inner layer.
Yes, it's like a zip system would be. Are you familiar with zip system?
Yeah.
Okay. It would be the insulation and then the plywood and then the vinyl waterproofing surface.
Okay, so then what does the vinyl look like? Is it white? Is it a color to match?
Casey, do you think they'll see that?
I don't know. That was gonna be my next question is gonna be how high is the bump out off of the grade?
It's right above the floor of the house. So
Right,
you'd have
on
to
the
get down
outside.
on the ground and look up. I expect they would try to make it compatible with the color of the house.
Are we a foot off the ground? 2 feet off the ground?
Pardon me?
How far off of the ground, the grading? So I see there's at least 2 or 3 steps up. So and then looks like the grade.
I think
slopes
it's
away
two.
from the house.
I think it's 2 blocks and then the floor.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think,
That's a good question. It is a really good question. I hadn't even thought about the color on that part because it wouldn't be, there wouldn't be anything visible from the street.
We can't rely on the presence of vegetation when we make.
Right. Right, just want to make sure.
Just
also
clarify.
Yeah, making sure it looks good for the neighbors. All right, that was all the questions I had.
All right.
No, wait, sorry, I do have one more. On the looking at the exterior house photos, they do seem to have, all the outside corners do have kind of a vertical corner board to it. But I noticed that the elevation for the fireplace does not. Is the intention to wrap the horizontal siding, or will you provide vertical corner boards?
I would expect to match the house.
Okay.
So if I missed the corner board, I apologize, but yes, it would definitely match the house.
Okay,
I can redo that, but I hope you don't have to come back again.
you can probably just note it. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Fran, do you have any questions?
I'm all set. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. And I believe I am all set as well. I mean, first I need to ask the question, Jason, the window information that we have, does it call out the color of the framework and such?
I don't believe that it does, and my apologies in that some of this information was not included in your packet. It just arrived yesterday. So.
Right. Could you pull that Windows stuff back up again? There was a few slides, because I thought there was a little bit more information potentially.
Bear with
Want to be clear.
apologies.
Okay, I guess the question I need to ask, though, the intent, and if it was asked previously, I apologize, is the intent that all of the framing match the existing window framing that is on the house today?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so everything is going to match that one window that's down below that is not being removed and replaced, and everything else will match that.
Well, exactly. There are several other windows that are not going to be removed and replaced, like the vertical windows in the staircase and the ones directly above. So we're going to match, perfectly match these.
Okay.
It's the same brand, same casement windows as the ones in the lower left. So we're really trying.
Okay.
we want this to look good.
Yeah. No, very, very good. Just making sure that when we put our notes together that we have correct information. That's all. Okay, if nobody else has any other questions, I would ask that you give Jason's office a call in the morning, and he can let you know what our decision was. And we can go from there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have 8AR-2, which is 55 Old Mill Road, which has enlarged the garage door openings on an existing single-family dwelling. I believe Randy Peacock may be presenting.
That's
Somebody
me.
there for that application?
I am here.
Hey,
Hi,
Randy.
Randy.
Hi, it's Randy Peacock. 55 Old Mill Drive was recently purchased. The owners discovered that it's a beautiful colonial revival house. You see these elliptical arch doorways to the garage. The owners discovered that their SUVs do not fit through the arch. That's a little bit too low. My solution to that is to propose actually reconfiguring the arches, reusing all of the existing trim. Be almost impossible, I think, today to recreate that elliptical molded trim. And to raise that up. You see at the top of that drawing, there's a proposed elevation. Down below it is an existing elevation. Be raising the arch up about 7 inches. That takes it up level with a ceiling that's in that little alcove between the two. You have to understand here there's about a 3 foot or 3.5 foot gap between these outer arches and the arched inner garage doors. They have the same elliptical arch, but not the same molded trim to it. It's just a flat 6 or 7 quarter stock trim on the interior. I noticed as I looked at this building that the existing trim, first of all, the legs, the vertical legs of the arches are different sizes. Jason, I don't know if you have any of the detail pictures I showed you. There's some details where you can pick up. You say, well, yeah, go to that. See there. I believe there might have been plinth blocks under this at one time that rotted out. The plinth blocks have been replaced with just a 1x material. What I'm proposing to do here is to disassemble these arches, take the molding, strip it, clean it, sand it and prep it, and then reinstall it raised 7 inches up, and then to put a plinth block in, about a 13-inch high plinth block that will raise that entire arch system up high enough. Brings us up, if you go back up to the elevation, Jason, it brings us up so that what's the stone called in the center there? I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on words. That will end up in line with the lower vertical trim on there, on that frieze that runs across there. The next piece of trim will remain in place. Yep, you got it right there. The plinth blocks will be made out of white pine material. I've got a profile on the left of where Jason's got the pointer right there. Just a bead across there and a molded shape, just a solid molded shape, about 3 1/4 inches deep. That gives it a traditional plinth base underneath the trim, and then preserves all of this beautiful trim and puts it back in place, painted and ready to go another 100 years. So it's not quite 100 years. The house was built in 39, so we're 17 years short of 100. And hopefully cars will get smaller from here on out. I should mention, I'm not going to change the interior. I'm not going to reinstall the interior arch because that garage door is about 7'3" tall. I can't raise that interior arch. I'm going to square those openings off, and that will give us the clearance. You can see the dashed line where the arch was. They're both about the same elliptical arches right now, but by squaring off the opening on the inside, I really don't think that provides any detriment to the look. You're really that main outer arch is what everyone sees with that garage.
Okay, very good. So I just had one question right off the bat, if I could, Randy, is just explain in that front elevation proposed, the horizontal line work that you have just below your arch. Can you just explain what that represents for me, please?
Yeah, that's the inner door. That's the head of the interior door.
Okay.
Or I say interior door. There's not an exterior door. It's the head of the overhead door opening on the interior.
Okay, so you're not changing that.
I am. It has an elliptical arch on that as well, and we're going to square the doors are rectangular doors. We're going to square that off on the inside face, because I can't. If I were to raise that, I would have to replace the overhead doors as well, and a very tight ceiling. Jason, I think there's a section drawn through that. If you scroll to the left on that drawing, lower left down there. Yep. The wall section A on the lower left there. You can see there that interior door, there's a very tight ceiling inside. I've got about, I think it's 12 inches of clearance right now. It's actually a little bit lower ceiling on the outside. Not quite sure why that is. I do know that they're 2x8 joists that span across there. I think they might have just furred that exterior ceiling down a little bit. So what you're seeing through there is that head line of the interior door.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it. So we'll go right to the board again. Mary, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I assume, Randy, that you have inspected the trim for rot or other things.
Yeah, it's all sound, all very sound.
Good.
Yep.
No, because I was worried you'd have to come back when you found out it was part.
No, it's all sound, and I was amazed at just those. I think those lower lens, as I suspect, there was a plinth block on there that must have rotted, and was just replaced poorly at the time. This gives it a little bit bigger plinth block, but I think it works in the scale of the openings.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Chris, do you have any questions, comments?
Randy, I'm going to take your bet that in 10 years cars will actually be bigger. So at the rate we're going, but no, I don't have any issues. This all makes sense. It's, and I think it's kind of an interesting approach.
Well, I have to just to comment there. I mean, when I originally looked at this, I reacted negatively to trying to make this into one big opening. And I, explained to the owners that I did not think this board would react well to breaking that up into one big opening. So it just had a good opportunity to be able to correct the problem and use that existing material, and I think end up with a pretty successful solution out of it.
Good. And I'm assuming the owners are happy with this approach then too.
It'll still be a squeeze to get the vehicles in. I can't make the doors wider, but yes, as far as I've heard, there's not an issue with it.
Okay, good. I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. Casey, do you have any questions?
No, I'm all set. Thank you. Looks good.
Okay. Fran?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, and I think I am all set as well. And I agree. I think this solution maintains the character of the home very, very nicely. So well done, in my opinion. It's only my opinion, Randy.
I'll be expecting a gold star.
Oh, geez. Okay, fair enough. For that, just because of that, we're actually going to make you wait. Okay, I am going to make you wait then. All right.
That's perfectly fine. I'm here working away, so it's not a problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's move on then to 8AR-3, which is 2000 Summit Circle Drive. It's replacing existing windows with new door on the southeast side and construction of a new vestibule. Is there somebody here representing this project?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Barry Inglesby with Lassesi Construction, and I'm
Hi, Barry.
the Summit in the Jewish Home.
Barry, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. If you could give us a little walkthrough of what it is being proposed, we
Sure.
will review and respond.
We will be, our application is to take two existing residential units at the very end of residence number 2, where the red circle is, and demo both those interior of the units, rebuild one larger residence unit, and provide a small waiting area just outside of that to serve as a temporary marketing center for the expansion project, which will be coming to your board likely next month. So in order to provide for potential new residents coming to for the marketing center, we provided are proposing a new exterior entrance where there is an existing window today with a sidewalk that connects the parking lot right adjacent to this. Eventually, as you'll see next month with our application, this is the same location where a one-story connecting link from the new Villa building will connect to the existing residence number 2. So in the meantime, for about a year or so, we will have this temporary exterior entrance to serve for the marketing center. And that's the only revision that we're planning on for this project for the exterior. The materials will be similar to existing. The trims will match existing with the same color and profile.
Okay, very good. Anything else to add, Barry?
I think that's about it for this one.
Okay, very good. Open it up to the board. Mary, do you have any?
Excuse me,
questions?
Andrew, I'm not sure if you want to do this the same way we did Avalon. There's also a vestibule enclosure component to this.
Yes,
I'm
there
sorry.
is.
Okay, I did not, I'm sorry, Jason, you were breaking up a little bit. There's another portion of this, you said?
Sorry, yeah, so there's a existing canopy overhang here that includes a vestibule, and they are expanding that a bit under the overhang, and I'll let Mr. Inglesby explain more on that, but I thought maybe you'd want to just hear both components at the same time and then go around for questions.
Yeah, no, definitely. If we could get a little bit further explanation, that'd be great.
Okay, very good. So with the existing main entrance of the facility, the owner has been plagued with the last few years of cold drafts coming in their main entrance. Their concierge desk is within about 10 feet of the entrance. And really it comes down to the existing vestibule doors. The distance between the doors isn't great enough for one door to fully close the interior door or exterior door to close before the interior door opens. So there's a big gush of cold air that always comes in. So what we're proposing is to add a glass, basically add an extension to the vestibule in glass. You can see right there, in the picture previously of the existing condition, we're wrapping an existing masonry pier and column. And so that'll be all glass. The new entrance door will be on the side instead of directly in the front. So you'll have a 90-degree break before you get to the interior automatic entrance door. That'll also certainly help with the cold, knocking down the cold draft. We also are providing additional heating units in that area as well, and lighting.
What about any of the other materials that will be utilized for that?
The only other material that will be visually seen from the outside is a narrow band at the top of the glass, and there's a glass transom, and there's a band that's about 8 inches high of hardy cement board, trim board, which matches the trim on the facility.
Is the intent of that to then have a flat roof to it?
No, there is no roof because it's underneath the existing porte-cochere, so it's fully enclosed. It'll just have a ceiling that extends out into the new vestibule.
Right, so I guess that's what I was saying. So there's a ceiling that'll be coming out, and there'll be a flat space above that entry vestibule that's being put there.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that explanation. I will now open it up to the board. Mary, questions or comments?
I'm okay, thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, so I mean, there's just that little bit of roof where it pooches out past the sloped roof, right? Am I reading those details right? If you go down to the details or up, yeah, right there. That's our section, right? So we're putting in like a new little footer there, and then it pooches out just ever so slightly there at the top left. Yeah.
That's not, again, that's not beyond the existing porte-cochere.
Right, it's all under the porte-cochere. The
Yep.
glass is kind of sneaking out a little bit from the soffit because you're wrapping around the brick column. That's
Correct.
currently there.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Thanks. I just want to make sure I was reading these right.
Okay. Casey, do you have any questions?
I guess I was wondering how close are you getting between the inside face of your storefront system and the brick pier? What kind of clearance do you have there?
Basically, the new glass will be very close to the existing brick pier, might be a couple inches, 3 inches.
Okay. So from the outside, people coming in just see the brick
They'll
pier
see-
beyond, or is it spandrel glass?
No, it's clear glass. They'll see the brick pier just as they see it today. It's just gonna be behind glass.
Okay. What are you gonna do about flooring around it? I guess how are you gonna finish off that inside gap?
Well, the gap itself will not be finished off in terms of closed off. It'll be left open. Mainly if we need to clean the inside glass, they'll have room to do that. It's like I said, I'm not sure the exact dimension. It's probably 3 inches or so to get enough room to get a squeegee in there.
Right, I guess I'm just saying, like, what's the flooring material? I mean, this is a healthcare facility and this is an entrance. So I'm just a little concerned on how tight that is and actually being able to maintain it.
It's a carpet mat material, like a water hog type material with a tile border.
So are they gonna cut 3-inch strips and stick it back there? Or are they gonna leave the existing sidewalk now exposed?
We'll put a strip in around that to finish that off before the glass goes up.
Okay. All right, that was my only real concern about that part of the project.
Okay, Fran, any questions or comments?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. And I think you've clarified a couple of the questions for me. I mean, one of the last questions I have is if there is a ceiling that goes in and there is a flat roof in that area, how are you going to keep birds off of that? How are you going to keep that clean? Just out of curiosity.
That's closed off vertically there, so there is no open to the exterior there.
Oh, okay, okay. I misunderstood
Whoa,
your
whoa, whoa,
your.
Hold on a second. You're telling me that this detail 5 and 4, if you go up, scroll up, how is that not outside?
Again, it's underneath the overall canopy, the main entrance canopy for the facility.
But it's not, it's exterior space, is it not?
That piece is yes.
Yeah, you're gonna have birds there, bud.
Well, the home
Place another $10 bet right now.
has a system in place now where they ward off the pigeons. That's a combination of methods they're using, but so I'm sure
BB
there'll
guns?
be something there as well.
Okay. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions at this point in time? Hearing none. Barry, as you know, we deliberate at the end of the meeting and then come up with a decision. So you can call Jason's office in the morning to get our decision on this. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, which is 8AR-4, which is 293 Inwood Drive. I'd like to reinvite Randall Peacock back.
Click and click, I'm back.
So could you please give us a rundown of this particular project, please?
Good. The existing house has a pretty inefficient kitchen layout that was done in a previous alteration of the house prior to the current owners. They would like to rearrange their kitchen to make it a little bit more serviceable, a little bit more modern, as well as create a large family dining area. They have a extended family that all come to this house for holidays. They want to be able to set up a big dining room table. At the corner of the house right now, there is an open porch. The open porch is not in terribly good condition. There is no foundation under it for some odd reason. It was just a slab on grade. There we go. That's the open porch. And so you can see there the open porch with the columns. To the left of it are 3 windows. Those are dining room windows now. What we plan on doing is infilling the porch to make a home office space. So come out to the extent of the existing porch and no further. And then extending to the rear to enlarge the dining room area, which will be between the office and the porch. There's some other photos. That's essentially what you see from the street of this addition right now. Pretty steep roof on the front of the house, about a 13 on 12 pitch. And that little piece of porch sticks out about, I think it's around 30 inches, 3 feet, something like that. There we go. Yeah. So what we will be doing, what we're proposing to do, is to enclose that area, a new foundation, crawl space underneath it. There's a little bit of an oddity in the roof above the porch right now. In the master bedroom is above this area. The master bedroom has a window facing to the side that is in a deep alcove cut into the steep porch roof. And they also have the joy of having a master closet that is about 3 feet deep, and it's about 7.5 feet tall on the one side and about 3.5 feet tall on the other. You can see it in that lower, the partial second floor. There's that little narrow closet area. It's tough to call it a closet. It really is not. It's just a little storage space in there. As part of the process of doing this addition on the first floor, it gives me the opportunity to bring a roof up and enclose a second floor walk-in closet that will take the place of that existing deep window well, and give you a good size closet space as part of the house here. Why don't you stop right there, Jason? Thanks. Yeah, I've used since I like the triple windows that are in the house now. That has a repeated theme throughout the house. I've done that with the porch, or the office has 3 double hungs facing to the side, and then 3 double hungs facing to the rear. We're doing a large sliding glass door to open from the dining area out onto the patio. And then also reconfiguring the rear wall of the kitchen. Has an odd combination of a casement window and a bay window there. Now we're just going to do a big slider there as well to open up onto that porch area. You can see the kitchen reconfiguration is a long island and a long run of cabinets against the garage wall. And then opening up the 2 spaces, very common process in the world today is to make a big open space. So I'm opening up the side wall of the stairs and then opening up between the kitchen and the dining room space. And then the office will be enclosed with just a door going into it. Exterior wise, I said I mentioned using the triple windows. I'm also going to trim the corners. Yeah, we go there with a boxed out column, a deep boxed out wood column or pilaster that will mimic the original double columns at the corners of the porch. And a wood siding, a cedar shake siding that matches the existing, I think it's 11-inch exposure cedar shake siding on the back of the house. Windows will be Anderson Woodwright 400 series, so they're a good hefty sash dimension that will match similar to the wood windows that are in the house now. Those Anderson 400s are a vinyl on the exterior. It'll be a white vinyl exterior color. The remainder of the colors on the house will be painted to match the existing. I think that kind of gives you a good overview of what is proposed here.
Okay, great. And there is new roofing. The roofing will match the existing
Oh yeah,
roofing?
roofing's going to have to match. Yes. Yeah, we're not going to re-roof the house, so it'll match into what's there.
How old is the existing roof, just out of curiosity?
I believe it's probably less than 10 years old. There's some photographs there you can see. It's an architectural roof. It's in good condition.
Okay, all right.
Like a dark gray, black architectural roof, architectural shingle. You can see a little bit there. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Let's open it up to the board. Mary, do you have any questions?
No, I think he laid it out pretty well. Thank you.
Chris?
I think I understand it. I was having a little bit of struggle, challenge, figuring out what was new versus what was existing. But then I took a step back. I was like, well, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I call that a success. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Casey?
No, I agree with what Chris said. It took me a bit to wrap my head around it, but now I figured it out. It looks good. No questions.
Okay, Fran?
No, I'm all set. That was very thorough presentation, so everything's been answered. Thank you.
Yeah, and Randall, I don't have any questions either. I had to do the same thing and wrap my head around it. And as soon as I did, go, oh, that makes some sense.
I apologize. I'm juggling projects here. It's just a overwhelming amount of work right at the moment. These are a design phase. They really haven't been developed to the construction document phase yet, but I thought it was enough to explain to you, clearly what was going on here, so that now I can go on to, as soon as I get done with the next 6 projects, go on to finish this up as construction documents.
Right, and you know that you then have to bring those in for building
Absolutely.
department review.
I've only been doing this for 35 years, so yeah.
Right. I knew that you knew. I just had to hear myself talk. That's all.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right. You know the drill. We will deliberate at the end of the meeting. So you can call Jason's office in the morning to get our decision.
Thanks, folks. I appreciate your time tonight.
All right. Thank you very much.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
All right. Next on the agenda is 8AR5, 110 Willowcrest Drive. New roof pergola structure over an existing patio on an existing single-family dwelling. We have somebody here to represent this application.
Yes, this is Mehmet. I'm the owner, and it will be a do-it-yourself project for me. So we have a patio on the back, at the back of the house. I think it's considered a site per town codes, and we would like to build a pergola cover to cover that patio area. And there are 2 options. The first one is prefabricated. It's 16 by 10, and the second one, needs some labor. It will be 13 by 17, as far as I remember. And I shared some details, and you can see them.
So we have two different options here. I guess my initial question is going to be, which option would you like us to focus in on? Which one would you like to propose as the one that you would like to put up?
If possible, if I can get approval for both options, that would be the best, because things are changing. The first one is the preferred one because it's prefabricated. It will be easier for me to install, but its size is smaller.
Right. Do you have any material listings for what this first option is? I see the photos and see the kind of diagrams, but I don't see what it's made of and the materials and such. And also I'm curious on whether or not this has a snow load rating as well.
Material list, I think I shared the link for this item, and I can take a look at it.
Sorry, that may be on me. Mehmet did share the information from Amazon, and I can pull that up momentarily.
Okay, I guess if you're doing that, Jason, maybe a little description of what the second option is for us. So this looks like a wood style structure.
The second option, yes. I'll be using pressure treated lumber. And also, again, polycarbonate roof. And for the footings, I can use whatever the town code is, maybe concrete, 14 inches deep. But yes, the second option is composed of two major materials. One of them is the polycarbonate roofing, and the wood is pressure treated lumber.
Okay.
And I shared the details of the materials also for the second option.
Yeah. Okay. Jason, were you able to locate the information for that option one? Okay.
Aluminum polycarbonate.
So it's an aluminum structure. Yeah. I'd be very concerned. I would be very, very concerned about the ability to handle snow loads in our climate, not knowing anything else about this particular structure. A lot of times pre-manufactured structures will come with details about what the snow loads are and what it can handle. And I think that as you as the homeowner, you don't want to purchase something, put something up, and then have it fall down after a heavy snow event. So I would definitely do some investigation on whether or not it can handle our climate.
Agreed. Yes.
But let's hear from everybody else as well. So I'm going to open this up to the remainder of the board. Mary, do you have any questions or comments on either of the different options?
Yes, I do. Regarding both of them, you have a photo of the house with the patio and you don't show exactly where the canopy would be located with respect to the window and the door. And it seems to me that the depth of the pergola may not be sufficient to allow for a corridor space. The table with the chairs pulled out, it seems a little tight as far as the depth goes. And I also don't know how you're going to attach that because you just have dry set pavers. And that has a flanged base which gets bolted, as far as I can tell. The other one, yes, you're going to have to go down deeper with the posts, but that's probably that's a structural issue that you would run it. You would have to satisfy the building inspector for that. But this, I also think that the 6.4 foot height is a little low. Sure, maybe you don't have any friends that are 6'4", but it's still very close to and uncomfortable for people to be walking through that. But I know they'll be sitting at a table. But again, I don't know if you have enough space for your table and chairs and when they're fully open and still space behind going to the door. So the dimensions, the height, and the attachment system on this one, I think are going to be a problem for you. And you haven't shown us where it's located on the facade. The other one is, yeah, it doesn't have much to recommend it visually, but I think that it's more flexible in terms of dimensions. I'll let other people weigh in on that. I don't really think either of them do the trick for as far as I'm concerned.
If it was a question, it will be starting from the left-hand side when you're looking at the photos to cover especially the window and the door. And there will be opening on the right-hand side because the length of the patio is around 20 feet, as far as I remember.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris, questions or comments?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't have enough to go on with option A. And Mary, I think, covered all of the concerns with that. And option B, I think we would just, I think in concept, you're asking us though to approve the actual construction of this based on your submission. Yeah, this isn't just to test the waters as a concept.
Yes, and
Because the issue I have with that is your drawings don't match the photo in terms of how the framing works.
yes, the photo is an example of how it could look.
But your drawings won't look like that. If you build it per your drawings, they won't look like that.
Yes, there won't be that much extension on the
Well,
left hand.
it's a completely different detail, completely different aesthetic. So I'm struggling with both of these to be quite frank.
Okay, anything further, Chris?
Now, I guess the question I had was, and he's answered with option B, is he's intending to build what he drew, not what the photo represents.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, just tag on to what Mary and Chris have said. I mean, I would automatically nix option A, focus on option B. You know, I couldn't really approve it right now. There's not enough information and it's not a really construction drawing. I definitely would want to see better drawings, see the relationship with the house, you know, where is this sitting in relationship to the window and door, like you said, and the patio. The posts that are closest to the house, I mean, how is that going to work? Are you cutting siding and they're going up against the structure? Are they being held off a certain amount from the house so that the vinyl siding's continuing behind those posts? You know, I think you should get some engineered drawings. Like we've talked about, there are snow load issues. So, you know, I wouldn't trust just something on graph paper. Definitely want to look at this a little tighter and dial in the details, you know, and like what, and again, like what is the overhang? You know, that photo did show a nicer overhang. You have an ending with what's called a roof panel. I don't know what that, what that 7-inch L shape is. But I definitely say you need to get more detail into option B.
Thank you, Casey. Fran?
I agree with what's already been said. Option B to be developed more, to be able to review it properly, but yep, that's about it.
Okay. And I would also echo this sentiment as well. I think option A, without any further information, I would not be able to approve something of this nature. I think option B definitely is the better option, especially for the look and potential, the look of the home as I see it. And I don't have an awful lot to go off of. And I think I would be recommending as well that a little bit more detail be put into how this will really be structured and be built on the site prior to us being able to approve it. With that being said, if there are no other questions, I would just tell the applicant that we will be talking about this at the end of getting through all of these applications, discussing it, and then providing our commentary and comments. You're more than welcome to stay on the line. You will not be able to speak while we're doing deliberation. But if you would like to stay on to hear our deliberation and finalization of our comments, you may. Otherwise, you can give Jason a call in the morning and understand what our commentary was and what our decision was on this application. So, do you have any questions for us right now?
No, I mean, that information really will help what I need to provide so that it can be approved.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next item, which is 8AR-6, which is 462 French Road. new front entrance, stoop and portico on an existing single-family dwelling. Is there someone here to represent this application?
David Wood?
Good evening, David. Would you like to give us an overview of what the proposal is, please?
Just want to extend it out so you're not out in the weather when you get home. Pretty much it's going to match existing, kind of look like it was always there.
So can you explain what materials are going to be used and the size of this, et cetera, please?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's 7 by 7 roughly. It's the same materials, concrete tops, and then we got a matching brick close from Wexford Brick, and same wrought iron rails at right now there's one, and then just going to stretch the roof out and put in some wood columns and paint it white, same existing type of material.
And how far out from the building is this going to be extending? You said 7 by 7?
Yeah, it's roughly 7 by 7. Whatever the print says is pretty accurate. I think they had to go a little wider, so the columns were centered under the upper roof area. So that's why it's a little bit wider than the existing brick front, just so it's a little more symmetrical.
Okay. And I guess the other question I have right off the bat is kind of foundation work, because if you're extending out, you're matching a brick, so you're going to be digging down and actually putting a foundation in place to build this all on top of.
That's correct. Yeah, they're going to remove the existing. It's not actually attached to the front of the house. It was built separately. So he's going to have to put in a whole new footer and, the strong under the piers there to support the roof and the weight of all that down the road. So it's independent from the brick part, and the concrete's independent from the house. You can see in that picture how it's really not attached. So it's going to kind of be the same idea, just it's coming out a lot farther.
Okay. How far does the existing stoop extend from the main plane of the house? When it makes it
about
90,
3
is that
feet.
just like about 3 feet?
About 3
Okay.
feet. The concrete's less than that. You can't even stand on it to open the door. So it's kind of what we're going after.
Oh, no, I understand. I understand the proposal. I understand the need and desire, no doubt. Okay. All right, let me open this up to everybody else and get back to this. So Mary, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. Thank you, Andy.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there's one thing. The columns on the base, they're not centered on the base, I noticed. You're reusing then the existing ones and you're constrained by that?
No, all the existing is going away, the foundation wise.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So why aren't the columns centered on the bases?
I don't know. It's a good question. I know he was looking at the roof line. Originally, they weren't, if you center the columns on the base, they weren't centered on the roof. So he actually redid that, the architect, and to center them on the uppers. So I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe
Actually, it's possible to do both. It's a design problem and it's not a difficult one, but.
yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Chris, any questions or comments?
That was basically it, and then I'll just, I wanted to ask, there's a setback, is this up against the setback, or what set the distance from the house at 6'5"?
Is that towards me?
Yeah,
The setback from the property line?
yeah, is that why? Okay, let me ask the question differently. Why, you're coming 6'5" off the house. What set that dimension?
What does what? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What established the 6'5"? Why not 7 feet? Why not, what I'm saying? Do you have enough room at the front door now? Are you confident of that?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it was sort of, if you stood there and opened the door and you said, okay, that's enough.
And there's a screen door there, right?
Storm door. Yeah.
Storm door? Yeah. Where's the setback line? Do you know?
On the property,
Yeah.
out at the street.
No, the setback, like, so there's always a setback limit line from the property lines, and they're different for the side yard, from the front yard. Oftentimes we see porch additions coming out into that setback, and they will say, yes, we know we're going for our setback variance so we can go this distance out, right?
He's got
So-
plenty of room as far as zoning goes. The
Okay,
house
so-
is at 78 feet setback, and I think this is a 60-foot setback required here. But
Okay,
stoops,
good.
I believe, are allowed to encroach in the setback if he was close, but he's fine.
Yeah, I would just encourage you to make sure that you're giving yourself enough room there to open that storm door. But I get, like, if that thing gets too long, it's going to look kind of weird proportionally. And then the piers at the base, if that's all new, you kind of just make those the size you need to have the columns centered visually, or widen the stair a little bit. There's some options there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, those are detail questions. I think they're solvable, and other than that, I don't have an issue.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Casey?
Yeah, can you explain the actual construction of the porch? I'm questioning because it says concrete porch, so I assumed it's all poured concrete and then brick is going around as a veneer. But then all the drawings do show kind of the concrete almost creating a cap and an overhang. So I'm a little confused on, is the concrete just a concrete cap? Or is it, if you can explain this a little bit better.
No, that's correct. Yeah, they're concrete caps over, and that's solid brick. That's, veneer around whatever masons do to make it strong enough to support the roof. And then he caps it all with concrete. And then that's how the base on whatever foundation codes that are necessary for that too. So it's strong enough. It's not gonna, have any problems with that. So that's basically it. Pretty much the same as what's there, just probably better. So it doesn't break down.
Okay, so the porch itself is probably more concrete block and stone infill, and then they're just pouring a cap over of concrete.
Yep. Yeah. Same as what's there.
Okay, and then I did notice unless I missed it, the drawings didn't actually talk about what the stairs are.
They're concrete caps too.
And then fronts are going to be brick, because they're not drawn that way.
Yep.
So I'm-
Like you said, a brick veneer underneath the steps.
Okay,
Same as the piers.
alrighty. And the new 8x8 columns, assuming you're painting them white, similar to what the
Yep.
trim
That's
that's there
right.
now.
That's
And
correct.
then the decorative handrail, are you thinking that's metal or are you thinking that's wood?
We want to do the wrought iron like what's already existing. Stick with that.
Okay, and then how are you finishing the underside of your new ceiling?
The same as what's there. It's just painted wood.
Okay, so are you gonna continue that kind of arch detail the entire depth of your porch?
Yeah, exactly like that. Just coming out to wherever the columns, whatever, 6-7 feet, whatever that was, but the same look.
Okay. Alrighty, I think that was all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Casey. Fran, do you have any questions or comments?
All my questions have been answered, and I think, so I'm all set, and all my comments have also been asked, so I'm all set, thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of my questions have been answered as well. It does appear, I'm just gonna throw a few things out, that there are new gutters that are being placed on here. I don't see any leaders at the front of the home. Is the intention that those gutters would tie into the existing gutters and then discharge at the ends of the home?
Yes,
Okay, so you would not be putting gutters or leaders coming down the corners of this structure that you're proposing and directly down into the ground. And the reason I ask that is
no, none of that.
putting leaders out at that front entry just that destroys the look and feel of everything that you're trying to achieve here.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. There's just an extension of the gutters and that's it.
Okay. And then there is a new light fixture that may be being proposed. It doesn't call it out per se, but it shows it in this image.
Yeah, I
Are
saw
you-
that too. I like the one on the house. I don't want to do a hanging thing in there, so.
Okay, okay. And then the underside question's been answered, and I think you heard the comment about the piers and the location of the posts in relationship to the roof. You understand that. So I don't have anything further either. So if you would like, you can give Jason a call in the morning, you can hear or to hear our decision on this application. Otherwise, you can stay on the line and listen to the deliberations a little bit later. But thank
Okay.
you. But thank you for your presentation.
Thanks for your help.
All right. Okay. Next on the agenda is 8AR-7, 2750 Monroe Avenue. Install 12 metal awnings on a commercial building. Do we have representation for this application?
Kirk, you're up, I believe. Kirk, right? Should be able to unmute yourself. No, Kirk is in the room.
But he doesn't want to talk with us?
May have stepped out. So Andrew, I was gonna wonder, because I see the sign application, I see the awnings. I'm assuming what happened is that the awnings were separated from the sign simply because they're not part of what we consider to be a sign. And then
It's an
the next-
awkward part of the code where it's basically one application, but the way ARB is
Yep.
structured.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, what I was going to suggest is if we wanted to wait for Kirk, we could move through either our deliberations or move through the balance of the signs and then come back to this.
I am fine with that as well. Jason, could you just let us know when he does come back online? And then I would open it up. Is everybody else comfortable with moving forward with the signs at this point? There are two more applications here as it relates to building pieces, and they're both from the same person, same company, I'm sorry.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Yep, makes sense.
I guess, and then I see Patricia is hanging out. I didn't know if she was waiting for the deliberation on Avalon. Is that the same Patricia from earlier?
Yeah, that's me. I'm just waiting to hear what you have to say about the fireplace.
Okay, well, as typical, I think we get through the overall agenda and then we come back to deliberate on each individual application as we've seen it. So I think we move on to the signs right now and go to the first sign, which is 1655 30 Jefferson Road. So that's a building face sign. This is the Tipsy Wine and Liquor sign. This came before us last month, and this is the revised sign. So I'll just go down the list again. Mary, any questions, comments?
Yeah, my question is, do we have the old one? Because I don't it doesn't seem different from what we saw before. So I just, Jason, if you don't mind, do you have? it?
No, let me pull that up. It is different. You'll remember when you see it, but just bear with me here.
It's not as tipsy as the previous one was.
Did the board not like the previous one? Is that why they came back, or did they just have a different idea?
It had a lot going on. I mean, it still has a lot going on, but it was interfering with the legibility, in our opinion. Yes, there it is. The fumes are gone.
Yeah, the spilled wine is gone.
You didn't like that?
Well, for a
Automated.
sign, maybe not.
Thought it made it look a little bit difficult to read and understand. It looked more like a vape shop than it did a wine store.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so Mary, do you have any comments or questions about this sign?
No, I'm gonna let it go, thanks.
Okay, Chris?
Sorry, when I start to draw, I can't unmute anymore. So I just put my comment on there. I'm not sure. It looks like they just took the vape or wine off, but I'm wondering if you wouldn't put the serif back on the P and make it look a little bit classy.
It's not a bad suggestion. Okay, would you approve, disapprove if they were to do that?
No, I think it's kind of interesting, so I don't have a problem with it.
Casey?
I approve Chris's addition to the sign.
Fran?
I approve it.
I would actually approve it with Chris's suggestion of providing that serif at the P to make it look similar. So Mary, would you approve, disapprove? You say you let it go. Does that mean you would approve it?
Yes, with the serif, I think that's a good addition.
Okay. All right,
Thank you,
Jason. Yep. So Jason, if you could note, we would approve it with the one comment that they changed the serif on the P, please.
The one thing that we were also looking for is a variance for having a front and a side, since this is a corner lot. We determined that the front of the building would be on Jefferson and the side would be East River Road.
Okay. Variance would then have to be gotten through the Zoning Board of Appeals. So
Okay.
we are only approving the character of the sign and its legibility. The Zoning Board of Appeals would have to provide a variance to either change the location of the sign, if the larger one is to go on the side versus the front, et cetera, et cetera. That is not our not our bailiwick, if you will. I think
Okay.
you can talk a little bit further with Jason about that and any type of procedure to go through if you would like. Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Yep. If we go to the next sign, which is a directory sign with 5 tenant spaces, 1658, 2601 Lactaville Boulevard.
And as of the time of this meeting, we have not received a revised proposal. To refresh folks' memories, let me pull up what you looked at last time. But you expressed a desire for some greater details on the construction methods and some of the things like the overhanging oval and how these slots would actually function. I relayed all that to the applicant and we were in communication, and she was supposed to get me something by Friday, but I have not received anything. So I guess procedurally, you have nothing new this month to go on. I think you can deny or deny without prejudice at this point.
Okay, then I will open it up. Let me just go take a roll call here, straw poll, and see what everybody's feelings are on this. Mary, what is your feeling at this point? Deny or deny without prejudice?
It's the same thing we saw last time, so what did we do last time?
You tabled it last time you asked for additional information and they have not been forthcoming. So-
Right, I'm sorry, Jason, you already said that.
That's okay.
I was just distracted for a second. So what, can we table it again, or do we just deny it without prejudice? I don't know if we can table it twice, right?
I don't think you can, because I think there's a set amount of days where if the ARB does not make any sort of decision, then it's a default approval. So that's an option. I mean, that means it sort of continues on the process without your, what's the word, recommendation or without your blessing. So that's kind of a way to let it go forward without saying you agree with the design of this.
Okay, I'll go along with what everybody else wants to do, whether it's tabling or denying, but yes, one of those.
I guess, Jason, I just need the clarification. I know that on the true ARB applications, we cannot table more than once. If signage is different, we're actually able to table it per our request for additional information. I think I would go in that direction, looking for, because I think you also mentioned that there may be a revision that is pending. They just didn't show up with it.
I mean, those of you who know me know I'm fine playing fast and loose with the rules, and there's a shocking lack of rules on how this board operates as far as I'm concerned in the code. So you guys do whatever you want, and I'll take the papers if we're served. That's what I'm used to. So go ahead, table it. Cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask everybody else. All right, Chris, what's your feeling and thought?
Deny without prejudice.
Okay. Casey.
Deny without prejudice.
Excellent. Fran.
Deny without prejudice.
Excellent. I believe we have Mary, would you like to voice in again?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do that too.
Okay. Then I think, Jason, we would deny without prejudice on this particular application.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's move on to 1659, which is 1221 East Tenerife Road. And I'll just go down the line. Mary, what's your thoughts?
Well, obviously the plants are kind of close to the lettering, so I think it's a little low, but I don't have another issue with it. It's basically a context issue. I don't know if people driving by here are going to be able to see it or not. It's kind of strange that they would put it behind growing things. But that's all I have to say about it. So, I mean, if nobody else has an issue with that, then I would be fine approving it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Chris.
My question is, does this sign comply with the size limits?
That's a good question. I believe it does, but I would have to confirm that.
It just seems really odd, right? I mean, it's like this giant sheet of something just covering up split face block to put the little logo up there. I don't know, but if it's too big anyway, then that makes this easy.
I have a feeling that one of the possible rationales is that because the logo is required to be no more than 25% the size of the sign, that's why they went with a bigger sign board in order to have the logo the size that it is. But I would have to go back and confirm.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight, because I don't like this. This looks stupid. I'm going to deny it.
Okay. Casey.
Thank you, Chris. I agree. The you know, the most prominent thing right now is the symbol and not the words. The word should be higher up. And I feel like they just expanded it so they could get a bigger graphic. And I don't think it's appropriate. I think the graphic scale is all off and the focus is not on the correct thing. So I would also deny it.
Okay. Fran,
If it's, I guess if it's compliant, I'll approve it.
okay. We do have another option, of course. Chris went immediately to deny, Casey followed with a deny. We could conceivably table this with comment and further information as to what everything is and the size that is off the ground. I do not disagree that it looks like a big piece of plywood hung up on a wall. Especially with the color background almost mimicking the block coloration. And to Mary's point, we do not know how high off of the ground. It does appear as if they're trying to match the lower sill of the windows on either side, but I have no idea how high that is. Now, please also note, this is a channel letter logo, non-illuminated. But the other there's an illuminated face lit channel letters with right acrylic faces. So it appears as if the Prodigy Surgical is to be lit and the logo is not to be lit. So Prodigy Surgical would be visible at night and then the logo is not. Just wanted to make sure everybody saw that information as well.
So face lit channel letter to me does not suggest internally illuminated. When we see internally illuminated channel letters, we usually see like the little section detail where they have the LED strip that's in the back pan and then the thing on the front of it.
Right.
So, so if we were to go with the tabled route, and I still stand by my denial because this is really bad. But if we went with the tabled route, I think a lot of my objection is coming from just this wasteful back pan, you know, and I would say, you know, eliminate the back pan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially these. But then to clarify the illumination, now that you mention it, I see the giant sight light. And is that what they mean by face lit?
Yeah, and so that also defeats the whole purpose of non-illuminated for the logo, because it will be illuminated.
Where do you see that the logo is non-illuminated? That's what
It's right in the specifications, proposed option 2, that second little paragraph. Channel letters, logo to be mounted, non-illuminated pan painted to match building.
Yeah, that's the non-illuminated face pan. That's the giant piece of plywood that I'm objecting to. Okay. So I don't understand. It's not clear to me that the logo is lit or unlit. So they got to provide some more information. But you know, if you're paying for channel letters, don't cheapen it by screwing it to a piece of metal.
Yeah. Okay. But you're standing behind deny versus a table. Is that your? Is that your direction, Chris? You're gonna
hold on. Sorry, I was muted. I don't know if you could see my lips moving. No, I could be convinced a table if one of the conditions is eliminate the back pan. But I don't know if we're going to go for that.
I thought our only choice was approve or deny for signs. That's why I followed suit with denying.
No, we tabled the directory sign from Lactaville last month because we wanted further information about the structure and some of the other information. I believe we've done that in the past, if I'm not mistaken.
Tabled the BU salon too, BU space salon.
Okay. Then to me, it doesn't matter. For some reason, I thought signs were different and tabling wasn't an option. But as long as we kick it back, I would not approve it. whether it's tabling or denying.
Okay, well, we're in a little bit of a, okay. Mary, back to you. What would you do?
I don't know, this is kind of gray territory. Obviously, I think that if the name were at the top and the logo below it, it doesn't need the background. It seems to be the same color as the building color, so I go along with that, but we're not designing it for them. So I don't know what the advantage is. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know the advantage of denying it as opposed to tabling it, because the same thing is going to happen. They're going to go back and change it and come here again. So there are technical differences. So I'm fine with doing either of those things, but not approving it.
And I guess the major difference is if you deny it and they reapply, then it's another $75 for them.
Ooh. Thanks for that, Jason.
Do I
Yeah.
detect some cynicism?
No. I'm serious. Like
Oh.
that's just kind of I don't know. It would piss me off if somebody denied my sign instead of tabling it and I had to shell out another $75. So I'm officially changing the table on the condition that the back pan be removed and the sign be rearranged so that the logo and the wording have a meaningful relationship and are legible from the street.
And I would say that the wording has to be higher. The name has to be higher, however they do that.
Yeah, I go along with that.
Yeah, and I would want further clarification about the illumination of the sign, if they are indeed going to utilize the ground-mounted floodlight that is existing today. And I would also like to know what the height of the sign is off of the ground. And I agree with having the Prodigy Surgical above the logo, just makes a little bit more sense. Especially if it is to be mounted at that particular height, because if those grasses and if those plants grow higher, then you're never going to be able to read the verbiage. So I would be willing to table this to give them one more shot at the ability to revise this.
Yeah. I want to just explain. I don't know that I would require to have the text above the logo, because you could put the logo to the left and the text to the right stacked. We think there are other options. So I just want to be careful how we word that.
Okay.
If it were me, to not box them into a specific approach. But our goal is, you've got too much white space or gray space, whatever it is, as a result of that back pan. So that's got to go. And then the words should not be at the bottom. They need to be higher up and more legible, because you're getting lost in the plantings. And oh, by the way, if that light fixture is what's lighting this, it might be casting shadows, so that's going to be bad. So darn it, I thought I had a clear way to state this, and then I started talking and I realized I'm rambling. But
I think you clearly stated it when you first mentioned the organization of the elements. So I believe you used the term organization, or the relationship of the verbiage to the symbol, to the image. And I think Jason can go back and just review how we initiated that in your initial comments. And I believe that's the way, once you said it, that made sense to me.
Okay, thank you. Jason, can you work with that? And
Oh, yeah.
I guess
and
then the other
your,
questions.
Your
everybody
Zoom
else
bombing
agreed.
graphics were helpful too, Chris. So thank you.
Okay. All right. I just want to go through it just one last time to make sure we're all on the same page.
I have one more thing, Chris.
Okay.
Or Andrew. I would also want to see a section and actual call outs for the depths of the different parts of the sign are. So if it is a a channel letter sitting on top of a back panel. How deep is the channel letter? How deep is the back panel?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with all of these observations and these comments. So if everybody's on board with that, unless I hear nay. Excellent. Let's table this, ask for that additional information, Jason, and then we'll see him back next month. Okay.
Great, thank you, Andrew. And I just wanted to point out Kirk is with us. So maybe if you did want to do 2750 Monroe, all of the elements together, maybe now is a good time.
Okay, I think that'd be great. So let's go ahead and do 1660 and 16. Oh, we're doing, so the next 4 items are all underneath the same.
No, no, it gets complicated. The next 2 are signs for 2750, but then we had the previous agenda items under new business, which were the awnings for the same 2 buildings.
Okay. So if he's back and he's with us now, let's go ahead and let's pause on the signs then. And let's go back to the Monroe Avenue metal awnings for both the AR7 and the 8AR8. And we can also then do the signs together. Okay. So Kirk, can you please explain what the proposal is for us, please?
Good evening. Yeah, sorry about that. I got booted off and I couldn't find my passcode, so I couldn't get back on in time. I could hear you guys calling me, but regardless. Yeah, the chapter and the well now, this is their corporate image done across the country. We've done a number of them, Buffalo, Syracuse, and Rochester. The awnings they're not illuminated. They're a standing seam aluminum awning. They do serve purpose to keep the rain off as you're entering and exiting the doors. Aesthetically, they look great on these buildings, and again, they've done them consistently throughout all their new locations.
Kirk, do you know whether or not there are awnings on any of the other buildings in that plaza?
I do not.
All right, I think board, anybody on the board, didn't we see awnings on the other building? And it wasn't there awnings actually on the Starbucks? Anybody recall?
There you
Oh,
go.
they didn't.
Flat.
They didn't have awnings. They had those roof extensions. They weren't awnings.
Yeah.
They were the flat roof. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
just a canopy.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason. I was trying to recollect whether or not we did. No, now I recall. Okay. Let me open it up to the board here. Mary, talking about both the metal awnings for building number 5 and the metal awnings for building number 4. I believe one of them are red and the others
they're
are
blue,
just
yeah.
a charcoal.
Navy.
Navy.
Navy
Yeah.
blue, yeah. As long as there's some consistency in the material and the location of the awnings, I'm fine if they're different colors. I think it makes it look a little bit less, everything is built all at the same time kind of thing. But I might be the only one who feels that way. So I don't have any issues. I'm sure if Chris or Casey speak, they might bring one up and then I'll kick myself that I hadn't thought of it, but until then, I think I'm okay.
Okay. Chris, do you have any questions or comments on the awnings?
None at all. Thank you.
Okay, great. Casey, any questions or comments on the awnings?
Yeah, I guess, well, one, I'm not finding the colors listed or the style, because it's at least on, so I'm only on chapter aesthetic studio. And it just says.
They have the color charts. They have the color charts.
That's for
Pantone.
the sign, right? That's the sign sheet.
Oh, I thought it was for the.
There,
others.
there it is, right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why don't I don't have that sheet? Maybe it's, oh, it's the
You
other
may
one.
be, you may
Okay.
be looking at the packet for the signs, which is essentially the same packet, but I removed the awning page because I had to split these into two.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So the color is gale force, whatever that means.
It's the navy. It's a
Or
navy.
is it navy painted?
Yeah, that's Sherwin-Williams. Not, yeah.
This is why I'm confused. Okay, so is it really, it's a painted awning or is it pre-finished? Let's start there as a question.
Those are powder coated awnings. All the awnings they go through the powder coating process.
So factory painted, pre-finished.
Correct.
Okay. And then I guess my only struggle with these awnings, just because it's kind of an architectural element, but we're treating them like signs and implied things. I don't know what this elevation looked like before it had the awnings. Like typically we'd have an existing versus a new. So like where it's over the windows, what's behind the awning? Is it more window? Was there a spandrel panel there? Is it brick?
There is a, it's not a window, it's a panel above the window, above, I'm at a loss for what they call that area, but it is not a window.
Okay.
There is
So-
a cutout there. There's a cutout, and these awnings butt up to the brick. At the top of the awning butts up to the brick, and it covers that blank false window, I guess it's called.
Okay. So looking at the section on the last page, you know, it shows the awning extending further down than the actual bracket. So when we're looking at an elevation, is it the bottom of the overhang is what's going to align with the architectural datum, what's ever behind it, right?
The bottom of that awning does cross into the glass area. The structure that's mounted to the wall will be just above the window mullion.
Oh, so it's a significant overhang over the window.
Yeah, probably around 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches.
Okay. And then what is the actual material? I thought you mentioned standing seam, but I don't see anything mentioned.
They are aluminum, and they are a folded standing seam style. So there's a folded rib roughly every 8 inches. You can almost see it in that one drawing that shows the longest awning. You can see the lines.
Mm-hmm. So
that
it's
are
an
the
8-inch spacing.
I'm guessing. I would say it's roughly 8 to 10 inches.
Okay. And how high are the ribs?
Roughly an inch.
Okay. And then what's the side? Is it open on the side or is there a return face?
The ends are open, yes.
Okay.
And all the structure underneath is also powder coated, so it is it's all the same color.
Okay.
There's
so
no
all this-
raw aluminum on the underside or on the framing. It's all powder coated. The blue for the chapter store and the red for the Well-Know store.
Okay. All righty, that helps. And then I guess, because we're doing both of them right now?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do the gale force and then do the red ones. The full
All right,
row.
so the red ones, well now, that one, I did notice that they don't seem to quite align with the rest of the architecture as much. Was kind of wondering, I mean, do the windows actually dip down further than that horizontal band, or is that really overlapping that much?
Now, these buildings are typically a mirror image of one another.
Mhm.
So there's 3 windows to the left, and then on the charter building, there'll be 3 windows to the right. But these are, I don't believe these are actually connected together like they typically are. But the awnings are identical for the chapter and the well now.
So I can help a little bit with the well now building because it does appear already in the street view. So the tops of the windows come up to that horizontal cultured stone band there.
That one's the well now?
Correct.
Okay.
You can actually see these are the 3 window openings on the northwest side, and then you see the outline of the false front over the main entrance behind here.
Okay. So really this awning is, the red one is actually going to be over brick and then overlapping with the top of the window just a slight amount.
Correct.
All right, got more questions for you. For the red one, what is the profile? Because in the elevations, the return profiles show it's slanted and then comes down flat, but then the section shows it just slanted.
I'm not understanding the question. It's shaped kind of like a half of an A, I guess.
Okay. Jason,
The
go back.
roof line is slanted. The framing kicks back to the brick, but that's just not seen on the open end.
Jason, if you go back to the elevation. Like
Is this what you're referring to, Casey? This like ghost profile on the side here?
Yeah, but we're still seeing the Google image.
Oh, sorry.
On your screen.
Sorry.
So yeah, see on the left? Yep, right there. So is that correct, or that would actually come down? The slant would continue.
They're all on the same plane. So
Okay.
the top of that awnings, I can't see it. It's too small, but if it's 10 feet above grade, they're all at that same elevation. And that, oh, I'm sorry. I get what you're saying now. That is incorrect.
Okay.
That's more of a shed style awning that has a flat sign band is what they call that.
Mhm.
These awnings are just angled. There is no return that goes down parallel with the wall.
Okay.
That there is inaccurate.
All righty. And then I did want to know what was driving the size of the ones on the red, for the red ones. They are higher than like the adjacent windows, and they are significantly wider than the ones that you were doing on the chapter studio one.
Well, if you could scroll up, they should have a dimension that shows D1, D2, D3. Nope, sorry, scroll down.
Yeah, so 18 foot 8 inches, 7 foot 11, 8 foot 1, 10 foot 1, 13 foot 8.
Right, but they show the awnings themselves. Yeah, right here, there's that's the 01, 02, 03, and or D1, D2, D3. If we look back to the chapter, they should be identical, as they should be the same size.
Well, I guess
Well,
I don't want them to match across buildings. I want them to work with the building that they're on. So the well now are much larger. They're higher than the adjacent windows and lower than the banding and wider than the window.
I think it's drawn poorly.
Okay.
Well, I think, Kirk, I am looking at the chapter, and there's a whole different series of the sizes, and the smallest sizes, which are D9, D10, 11, and 12, are 3 foot 8 inches wide. And what you have right here that we're seeing from Jason's screen is a 60-inch wide awning. So Casey, to your point, they are wider. These are 5 feet wide, and the other ones are 3 foot 8 inches wide, of the small ones. But then there's a whole host of different sizes, because there's 18 foot 8, 7 foot 11, 8 foot 1, 10 foot 1, and 13 foot 8 for those larger spans, for the larger windows. So if you go back to chapter and you take a look at D9 and D10, which are on the northwest wall, all of these are fit within, the larger ones are fit within the context of the window, and then the smaller ones sit literally just on top with a very small overhang on either side of the window.
Yeah, and the chapter ones are a little weird, where a few of them go across the band and a bunch of them sit below the band. So they can flip flop depending on which door or window you're over. I guess in the end, I'm not against the awnings, but I can't buy into the current presentation because there's not enough detail and it's inconsistent. And I think just like if it was, I mean, I'm considering this an architectural element, I would want to see the existing drawings so we understand what are you covering up, so then we can see how it actually relates to the building. So right now, I don't know if you're covering up clear window, a spandrel panel, a piece of brick. Personally, I would want to see the awnings again so that we could better understand it and have better details. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Casey. Let's move this along. Fran, do you have any comments on the awnings?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. And I apologize, Casey, you took a little bit of time there. Did we go through, Mary and Chris, you both commented on these?
Yeah, we're all set, thanks.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I don't have, I look at these and I don't have a huge issue with the chapter aesthetic studio awning necessarily, nor do I have an issue with the well now. And just for context purposes, the well now is being constructed, the awnings for chapter aesthetic are the building that's a little bit further to the east. So they're divided by a parking area in between these two buildings. I don't know if that kind of changes your outlook a little bit, Casey, because the buildings are not near one another.
No, not at all. I'm looking at them individually and how they relate to the building,
Okay.
not how they're relating to each other.
Okay. So I think maybe I would just like to take a straw poll at this point, looking at the 12 metal awnings for the chapter aesthetic studio. Mary, would you approve, disapprove, or table for further information?
I'm okay with approving.
Okay. Chris, for the chapter aesthetic studio.
Approve.
Okay, Casey, you would, I assume you would table for further information?
I would table or have significant comments about heights and relationship to the building.
Okay. Fran?
I approve.
Yeah, I myself would approve these as presented. So out of us, I think that would provide an approval for the awnings for the chapter aesthetic studio.
Just to be clear, on page 6 of the awnings for chapter studio, you guys are okay with the 2 center ones being higher than the others?
Page 5, yep.
I have no objections, Casey.
Yeah, I do not have any objections either, because those 2 that are higher are also mimicked again on the southeast elevation above 2 doors.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so that's chapter aesthetic studio. Let's go to the well now and the awnings for the well now. It's going to go down the list again. Mary.
I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Okay. Chris.
Approve.
Casey.
I would also table, I think they're too big for the architecture and too tall.
Okay. Fran.
I approve.
And I actually would approve these as well. I don't think they're, I think they do fit this particular building and the character of the building. I don't have any huge issues with this. So Jason, I think we can say that these have been approved. Okay. Now, if we switch gear while Kirk is still on the line, because I believe he is also representing the signs as well. Is that correct, Kirk?
Yes, that's correct.
Can we take a look at the well now signage? And Jason, my first question is, do these meet the code requirements for the size and for the height on the building?
So this, Jeff and I did research this extensively, and Kirk, I've been speaking with Melissa from your office just for your benefit. We need to probably have a conversation with the property owner on this, because as currently proposed, not only would they need a variance, but because the signage was included as part of the incentive zoning regulations for this property, it would actually need to go back to the town board to revisit the incentive zoning, and the town is not willing to support that. So we need to have a discussion on the total square footage for these signs, which I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it is limited per the incentive zoning regulations.
So can I just make a suggestion? Can we just hop right over to the chapter aesthetic? Is that the same situation with the chapter aesthetic signs, Jason?
You're muted.
It is not the same situation because the incentive zoning did not include the signage for chapter aesthetic.
Okay, let's, if I could, and I apologize if I'm confusing anybody, but on the well now signs, since there is either a variance or having to go back to the town board for a change in the incentive zoning, I think we need to either deny this without prejudice until such time as a different application comes before us, and or we table this such that the applicant can review with the town in further detail and try to get this worked out.
Let me just put forth a third option. I mean, you could approve with the condition that the the variance that the variance be granted, and if you're satisfied with sort of the design of the sign itself, that the approval be conditioned on receiving necessary variances. But that's completely up to you, of course.
Okay, so there's 3 different avenues we can go down, and I guess I'm going to go down and just straw poll again. And we're talking about the well now signs. So Mary, what would you suggest?
I would approve it on the condition that it is approved by the town board per what Jason said.
Okay, Chris.
I have no exception to it. So it's, I mean, a legal way of saying I would approve it, but I frankly didn't follow everything that Jason was saying. So aesthetically, it doesn't bother me, but the town's got to do what the town's got to do.
Okay, Casey.
Just for clarification, it has nothing to do with approvals or not. When this is lit at night, are we seeing the colors? Because it is white LED, or is that material where it's color during the day, but the white takes over at night?
These faces will be blue at night, well now, and urgent care will be red.
Okie dokie. I have no issues with it, so approval based on zoning compliance, town approval.
Okay, thank you. Fran? Might be muted, Fran?
Oh, sorry about that. I had a loud dog. I approve based on zoning.
And I would also suggest that I would approve these based on getting the proper approvals through the town, either the zoning board of appeals and or the town board in a revision to the incentive zoning. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to the chapter aesthetic signs because they do not need incentive zoning reapproval. I need to ask the same question though, Jason. Are these compliant as they relate to square footage, and are they compliant as they relate to height on the building?
I knew you were gonna ask that.
They have a table on the second sheet that has the allowed and actual square footage on the right there. Oh, no, you just were there. It says allowable 111.3, actual 64.52.
So what they will, so because this is not part of the incentive zoning regulations, but it still needs to follow the town zoning code when it comes to number of signs, because there is more than one sign on the building, this would still need a variance from the zoning board, but it would not need to go to the town board to revise the incentive zoning regulations.
And isn't there a regulation for the height of the sign as well, Jason?
There is, and I don't have that off the top of my head. I want to say it's 20 feet. They're probably pretty close to that.
Okay.
Well, we can just approve it on the condition that the ZBA approves it.
And that's exactly where I was going to go to, Mary, is I think we can, again, the straw poll here on whether or not you would approve it, whether or not it needs a variance or not, the character, the size, the shape, the style of the sign, whether or not you would approve it. So we go, again, Mary, can you want to start us off?
Yes.
Okay. Chris?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Casey?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay. Fran?
I approve.
And I would approve as well. So I think the approval and the clarification, Jason, would be we approve based upon further review and whether or not variances are required. But we would approve the style and size of the signs as presented. Okay, that makes sense. And I don't know if you're on mute, Jason.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
I got no response, so I have to.
I'm trying to do a thumbs up, but I don't know where my camera is.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. Let's move on to, all right. So Kirk, thank you very much for providing the input and the information. You've heard our deliberation as well as our decisions on those items. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Premier Sign Systems, 2541 Monroe Avenue. Are we approving both of these signs, the Avino and the Premier Mortgage? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, all right, we'll start from the back. Fran, what do you think of these two signs?
I'm fine with them. I think it's just a little bit bigger than what's there currently. Yeah, I'm fine with them.
Okay. Casey.
I am also okay with them.
Okay. Chris.
So I didn't have a chance to look at this one, I just missed it. That whole white band, what in the world is that? In the existing photo, it looks like it's some sort of canvas thing that might be flapping in the breeze, and in the new, I'm not sure what it is. But
I
does
thought
anybody
that was a
else know?
temporary.
I think the existing is a temporary banner.
Got it. Okay, so this whole thing is considered the sign?
I think just the little logo and the letters, very much like what it looks like, how it looks today in the temporary banner. And I think maybe these sign packages are always so strange because somebody uses some Photoshop-esque program. And I think that what you're seeing is them wiping out what's there, like whiting it out, and then so that we can see just
Yeah.
this.
So is it going on like an existing soffit or freeze panel? Is that what we're supposed to construe here?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was how I interpreted it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
All right, so what do you think, Chris?
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Mary?
I'm fine. I just want to point out, though, that there are dimensions on this which show 35 feet of lots of white background and 3 feet vertical. So I think the background is part of the sign, or they didn't make a distinction. Oh, maybe they're showing the fascia and then the elements within the fascia. It's hard to say.
Well, they're actually calling it out as the pan is to be painted white. My assumption is that 35-foot by 3-foot dimension is the pan. And then the letters, the logo is the white acrylic with black perforated vinyl applied.
That makes sense.
Oh, I misunderstood that. I thought the pan was the 20-foot 11, but I guess, or even just behind the premium. So I misunderstood that myself.
I don't understand their description of the logo. It's channel letter style sign box. Is it a box or is it channel letters or?
That's the part that says Premium Mortgage Corporation. If you look at the night view, you can see it lit up.
Yeah, and there's a little side, there's a section of it there.
Right, but they describe it as both channel letters and a box, which to me are two different things.
Channel leather style sign box. So I think what they're trying to describe is basically just like you would apply a box letter. You apply this, you apply the channel letter, you're applying a box with has that same dimension depth. And that entire area then is lit as a box, just like you would light an individual channel letter. That's how I read and see how they're proposing it. Okay, so Mary, would you approve these? I guess I didn't hear that end.
Well, they look pretty much like we're used to seeing there. I don't really have any objection to them as long as they comply with standards.
Okay. And myself, I mean, it is on an existing panel that goes around and wraps around the building, and it's very similar to what is out there today. I have no objections to these either. I would approve these. So I think we just approved these signs, if I'm not mistaken, Jason.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. All right, then we go on to the last one, 1663, which is the Whole Foods building face signs. Now, before we get into looking at this, Jason, was this part of the incentive zoning approval as well?
Yes.
Okay, as such, do these meet the criteria of the incentive zoning approval?
Yes, they do.
It
But-
says zoning issue on that one sheet we have in front of us now.
And
It's
that's-
in red.
Page 2 of 9. Yep.
It's a height thing, maybe? It's 25 feet instead of 20.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what.
Well, anyway, we're not approving the zoning issues. We're just approving the graphics, and that's their logo. I mean, that's what they have on all their stores.
I mean, I think actually the logo didn't even change from last time. It just shifted position on the building, but
That's correct. There was a large tree there or something, so they opted to relocate the sign. It's my understanding these have been approved, they've been permitted, and everything's gone through every phase of the permitting process, but they relocated it, so it had to come back. That was what I was told.
So what are we gonna do?
Well, I guess what I would make a suggestion is to potentially approve these just like we did the others, as long as all zoning and code related elements have been worked through and approved, either by the town board and or the zoning board of appeals based upon review of the incentive zoning approval. I think that is how we need to look at them. Just as you said, Mary, we are looking at the signs and the signs themselves.
Okay, I approve it.
Okay. Chris?
Love it.
Excellent. Casey?
Only comment would be on all of the signs except for the one that goes over the canopy. Each sheet does list a raceway color. And I would say that we don't want everyone on a raceway, and I don't think that's the intent. So if you keep scrolling down, keep going. So yeah, these ones, see how they include the raceway information and the VIF color? That would be my only thing, is I think we should, raceway should only be at the one that's being mounted on top of the canopy itself, and any building mounted ones should have no raceway.
Yeah, because they don't even show a raceway with that sign right there that's up. There's no raceway being indicated.
Correct.
One would only assume that the raceway would be at the bottom of the hole, bottom of the foods, and bottom of the market.
These letters are flush mounted. They flush mount to the wall, and remote channel letters means that the power supplies are remote. They're behind the wall.
So each one's individually mounted, not on a raceway.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, if they are individually mounted, they are not on a raceway. Mary, do you change your mind?
No.
Chris?
No.
Casey?
I'm good.
Fran?
I approve.
Okay, and I would approve as well. I mean, Jason, I think the commentary is we approve them, but based upon verbal input, these are individually mounted and there was no raceway.
got it. Thank you.
All right, that gets us through the signs, so we can get back to the main order of business, back to our old business, 7AR4, 30 Jefferson Road, the facade renovations to the existing retail store. I'll start from the bottom again. Fran?
Yep,
What do you
I-
think about this?
I approve as presented.
Okay. Casey,
I'm good with that. Approved.
okay. Chris,
Approve as presented.
excellent. Mary,
Edom, approved.
okay. And I would also approve as presented with the revised information.
Excellent, thank you.
Let's go to 8AR1, which is 334 Avalon. This is the enlarge windows and add the fireplace bump out on the single family home. Let's reverse it. Mary,
I approve.
excellent. Chris,
Approve as presented.
Casey,
I would just want to add the corner boards on the fireplace.
Oh, right, right. Good one. Good catch.
Fran,
I approve as presented. I don't know if I feel that way about the corner boards, just so it kind of would fade into it a little bit better, maybe not, it doesn't call more as much attention to it if it doesn't have the corner boards.
I'd only be concerned without the corner boards. I'd be concerned on the transition from the sides to what I'll call the front of this that would have the port.
There's a way to do that, Andrew. The house I grew up in had it that way. You basically kind of miter it and go around. And thank you, Fran, because I was thinking the same thing about the corner boards. So I do not want to, I would not add that condition.
Okay. Okay. So you're mitering each individual board to the other board.
Yeah,
You
you
miter
could do
around
that.
the corner.
And I think it would actually be a little bit nicer, but I wouldn't require that. So if they did the corner boards, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, this is a little gas fireplace pooch out on an otherwise, pretty, the mass and scale of this house, I know, because I drive by it a lot. I think it would be fine either way, a little better without the corner board, but I'm not going to die on that hill.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm okay taking that off. I'm just approving it.
Yeah, I would approve it as well. The only thing that I would like, Jason, I mean, on this page that you have, what's interesting is they don't mention what the final facade treatment really is. They need to put that on here because the exterior elevation on the right-hand side here doesn't say that it is horizontal siding. It is wooden horizontal siding. We heard it in verbal testimony that it's supposed to, but I would just want to see that clarification when it comes into the building department.
No, and I think that might actually be a good condition, like that, if I may suggest you approve with that condition, because I heard that as well, and I was looking all over this sheet for that detail to be called out, but just that the exterior cladding match the existing house.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's good.
But-
In that note, it does say it in that note right there.
Does it?
It's a note that describes the entire system, and
Oh.
it ends with siding to match house.
Oh, okay, well then, okay.
Good
yeah, I
catch,
didn't see that
Fran.
either. I didn't see that
either.
in there.
Yeah, it's right. if you
Yeah, just move your mouse up.
Yeah.
Up a
Okay,
little bit
that's
more.
good.
Ah!
Oh, siding to match house. I see.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
It was odd that it wasn't located though, in an elevation or in a plan, just saying. They should do that before going in for a permit,
Right, right.
like locate where it is.
The only other thing I would approve as well, the overall application, just a comment or a condition is again, verbal testimony that the windows were all to match, at least on the front facade. Because I mean, the bottom windows on the left-hand side of the doorway are not changing. The remainder are changing. So all of the new windows could match, but it may not match the existing window that's not being changed out. So, and also the 3 vertical ones too. So we heard verbally that they were not gonna, they were all gonna match. I just think that should be a condition.
Got it.
Anybody else feel otherwise?
I don't think it's necessary, but I'm okay if we put it in there. There's nothing, no harm.
Anybody else have a comment on that? Well, if I'm the only person that's making that condition, nobody else is suggesting otherwise, then is the condition removed? We don't need it?
How about we put it as a recommendation rather than a condition?
Okay.
Right, I was okay with what you said. I didn't have any adjustments to it. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought you were looking for objections.
Yeah.
No, I was looking for acceptance to make that, to have that as a condition. That's all.
We're all looking
Yeah.
for acceptance, Andrew, but you have to find that from within.
Okay, moving right along.
Now I need to pause on that particular comment here. Okay, we'll move along here. 55 Old Mill Road, 8 AR2 and large garage door on existing single family dwelling. Mary.
Yes, I approve it.
Okay, Chris.
Approved as presented.
Casey.
Approved as presented.
Fran.
Approve.
And myself, I would approve this as well. Okay, moving along, 8R3, 2000 Summit Circle. This is JSL. So personally, I was a little confused, not confused about the door entry going into the building, but I was a little bit confused about underneath the existing roof structure. And if you show the existing photo, please, Jason. So my understanding is that they're coming out from this doorway, coming around that first brick pillar, and then having a door basically where the chair is coming into a vestibule. And that vestibule is going to have a flat roof within this roofed structure. That was my understanding. Is that everybody else's understanding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for that little pooch out. Just for the little spot where it goes past where the existing soffit is. So if you look at that detail, that detail key takes you to drawing 5 on VA, whatever number that was. Yeah, it's that wide. It's like mourning dove nest width, basically. So unless they do something, they are going to get birds nesting there, guaranteed.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's not that much.
They have various means. I think they're talking about poison.
I hope not. Is that legal?
Well, more than a BB gun in Brighton.
So they're killing the owls too, huh? Anyway.
Don't know. He said we have vase or something like that. So I think
Well,
that what
They
it
do
meant.
have netting up. If you look at the photo,
Yeah,
look above the columns, they're covered in.
All right, let's
like a
assume
mesh
that's
material.
what they're talking about.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then is that electric above it? See the
Little
wires?
wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they electrocute them.
Even better.
They don't even need a sous chef.
Okay.
Eh,
Well, all right. So, okay, let's just go through the list here. Mary, thoughts on this one?
Not crazy about it. I think the glass will always be dirty, and I don't like the idea of the door not being in the front. It's going to be a glass panel wrapping around a pier. Obviously, it looks like an add-on. I think they could have taken more care to integrate it. But I may be the only one who feels that way. So defer to my wiser colleagues.
Okay. Chris, thoughts?
Here's my thoughts. This is not a good design, but it is really tucked back and is not going to adversely impact anybody other than this property owner. And based on that, I'm okay approving as presented.
Okay, thank you. Casey,
I agree it's a really bad design, but I don't agree that I would approve it just because less people see it. I don't like the idea of wrapping the brick. I think, sorry, my dog. I still confused.
He doesn't like wrapping the brick either.
I am a little confused on as you're facing, you know, this entrance on the outside of the brick. How is that roof treatment being handled? Because there's a very small amount left of the brick and still under that overhang. And I don't understand why they didn't even just use the brick here as like terminate your glass into it. And then just a stupid one, but it's bugging me is the detail for the sill and the foundation. They've got exposed insulation. Like they didn't figure out how to marry up their new foundation and their sidewalk adjustments with the insulation, and their sill isn't covering it. Not to mention, I don't think.
I think it gets down to what are we trying to do here? Are we
Right.
trying to make sure that this design does all the things that the architect should be making sure it does? And I don't think that's our charge here. I think you look at it conceptually, and if a detail is going to adversely impact property value or some other person, then I think we speak up on it. But you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and fix Perkins Eastman's half-baked details.
Right.
Spoken with a true tone of superiority.
Well,
so
it's
Casey-
resignation. I mean, it's 7 o'clock and this wasn't a very heavy agenda, so I just want to get things moving.
Well, I'm getting worn down myself, so yeah.
Okay, Casey, what's your final decision?
My straw poll would be to table it.
Okay, Fran.
I approve.
Okay. Personally, I think it's a really bad design as well. I don't even understand the design. I think it's a half-baked approach. I agree. But I also agree with Chris's statements. This is tucked well back into the Summit property. Nobody will actually see it unless you drive underneath the porte cochere at all. And this is their attempt to provide another windbreak, winter break into the building. I would approve it, as well as I would approve the door on the other side. So I think we have 4
3 to 2.
approvals and 1 table.
No, 3-2.
3-2.
Casey and I know.
Oh, okay. So I think it is approved, Jason. 3-2 vote.
My losing day. Trying to push good architecture can shut down.
Well, you're very valuable because you see a lot of things that and you pick the nits, and that's good. Appreciated.
Out of all the battling that we've done on projects, Casey, like that one there, it's like, all right, why battle that?
Right.
And I say battle's not the correct term, but
The awnings actually drove me more nuts than this project, so.
okay.
Okay,
right.
what's next?
Wow, people are itchy to get going here. 293 Inwood Drive, which is AR4, 8AR4. It's up on the screen. This is the infill of the porch, and then the addition to extend the kitchen out as Randall Peacock provided. So Fran, what's your thoughts?
I approve as presented.
Casey,
Approve.
Chris,
Approve as presented.
Mary,
Approve is presented. Chris, are you just having a recording run for you, or are you actually there?
No, I'm having click problems tonight. I keep
Okay.
making myself big, and I finally turned off my camera because I was sick of looking at myself.
Okay.
Jason, this is approved as presented.
Very, very good, thank you.
Okay, 8AR5, 110 Willow Crest. This is the pergola. I'll go first this time. I believe we need to table this per our conversation and ask to see more details for the wooden structure that's being proposed. We need true dimensions. We need to know how this and where this is going to be sitting on the house. We need an elevation and or photograph of the rear of the house and shown how this is going to attach to the home and what its reference point is on the home. I know he suggested he was going to connect on the left-hand side of the patio and go over the doorway, but I think we need to see that a little bit and better, I'll call them construction drawings for how he's going to install this. That
Well,
is where
we
I
don't
would
really
go.
need, we don't really need construction drawings as much as we need illustration, an accurate illustration, right?
Right. Yeah, the illustrations that he's providing is not very good to understand what's going on.
I mean, theoretically, we should get almost permit worthy drawings.
Well, if he does those, he will discover what it's going to look like. So that's absolutely true.
So I would vote to table this with the condition that table this with the conditions of getting better drawings and understanding of exactly where this is going and how this is being attached, et cetera, et cetera.
And material samples.
Yep. That's where I'm at. So
Question for the board. Do we consider it an appropriate material to have like that corrugated plastic as a roof?
Polycarbonate.
Well,
Like, I don't know, I see that out in like, you know, the boonies and it looks like crap.
I've seen it and it looks hot if you do it right, and it looks
Yeah.
like absolute dog doo-doo if you do it wrong. So
And it turns yellow eventually.
does it? That one I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I
it
think
depends.
yeah. So I think it's important to also say that option A is denied.
Yes, agreed.
I
Option
agree.
B, you got to develop it further. Personally, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of effort writing up all the things we just said. I get frustrated when we get these really, really anemic submissions and it takes us a lot of time to just deal with them. Part of it is they can if they need clarity, they can wait for the deliberation and they hear what we say during the presentation. So I don't know, to me, I think just observing at a more meta level here, some of our most difficult applications are the ones where somebody comes in with graph paper. And if we had a clear set of directives, you know, almost like a checklist or whatever, when they make the application, we wouldn't have to spend our time rehashing for them what we expect to see when we're doing the deliberation. So I'm going to put that out there, and now I'm going to mute myself and shut up.
no, I agree. I completely agree with that.
Me too. We should just.
For the
push
record,
back-
we do, guys, we do have it. So we should
Yeah,
really just
right.
kind of approve these applications. Scale,
Right.
elevations of project from all sides,
Yeah.
right on the application.
Yeah, it is. It's all spelled out. Yeah.
So when we deliberate, we can just say, refer to required materials on application form when resubmitting.
Perfect.
There you
And,
go. Yep, I agree.
And Jason, just don't approve them. Kick them back.
Jason, yeah, you
Don't
gotta
even
be
get on
our
the
gate-
agenda.
You're a gatekeeper here. You gotta make
I
sure.
got a bleeding heart. I spent 13 years at the city where this would be considered a good application.
Hey, you're in the town of Brighton now, Jason.
I mean, technically, he met all 5 of these bullet points, so.
The town of Brighton is full of bleeding hearts, Jason. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
These are not scaled elevations.
Okay.
I disagree.
Yeah, typically we want to see how it relates to the building. So tabled. Correct, everybody? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it needs to show an elevation of the structure on the house. So that's
Yes.
what an elevation is, not just, yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right,
Okay, next we have 462 French Road, new front entrance stoop and portico. Chris,
Approve with conditions. Do you want me to,
conditions
do you want me to make my suggestions now or wait for the straw poll?
being, we can wait for a straw poll. Okay, so approve with conditions. Mary,
approve with conditions.
Casey,
Approved with the conditions.
Fran,
Approve with conditions.
me, approve with conditions. Okay, Chris, you take the first crack, please.
Adjust the column base so that the column is visually centered on the masonry and concrete base.
Is that your only condition?
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. Mary,
Center column on base is how I would have said it, but that's fine what he did. A
okay.
little more Baroque, but. Just
Casey.
Chris.
It's up to the board, but do we want to mention that the wood will all be trimmed white, painted white to match the house, and then talk about the underside and just how it's finished and painted, just because it's not there.
Yeah, that's, I'd agree with that.
Do we ask him? I don't remember. Do we ask what the steward always asks that question?
If
Yeah,
it
no,
has
you-
beadboard underneath,
Yeah, if they don't
Okay.
show a section or have a call out, we always ask what the underside is.
Yeah, I blanked out. I don't remember what he said. Okay.
Yeah.
He said that he was going to continue this, he was going to continue the entire undersection with wood.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, and I'm fine with that condition as well. And the rest as presented, because it was wood underneath. No hanging fixture. Okay. And we did the metal awnings, so we're done, folks.
excellent.
Well,
Well,
thanks,
it's been
everybody.
real. It's been real, everybody.
Yes.
Have a good rest of your August.
You too enjoy
Summer.
Philly and Cape Cod.
Thank you all.
Arrivederci, ci vediamo a settembre.
Arrivederci.
Okay, bye. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jason, for
Thank
putting up
you.
with us this evening. Let me know if there was any questions on any of the stuff that you heard.
Thank you for stepping in, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, good night.